Thank you for joining us for this episode of Comply on the Fly with M3 and Karen B. Comply on the Fly is your trusted weekly resource for reliable insight and quick answers on common employee benefits compliance questions. Please note, this podcast and the contents herein do not constitute legal advice. Seek the advice of counsel for any employee benefits, compliance-related guidance, or strategy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karen B. And the Comply on the Fly question of the week is, how do I determine if an employee is full-time for ACA or Affordable Care Act purposes? Always a great question and probably sounds like a familiar question, as this introduces part 2 of the answer that I gave you in a previous episode, where I told you that the ACA recognizes only 2 methods for determining full-time status for employer shared responsibility purposes. It's probably a good time to give you 2 reminders that employer shared responsibility only applies to employers with 50 or more employees, and full-time means 30 or more hours per week. Now, back to the methods. The first method, which we discussed in a previous episode, is the monthly measurement method. Essentially, a determination of full-time status in real time. The other method, and the subject of this episode, is the Lookback measurement method. I would say this is the preferred method for most of our clients, especially clients that have many variable hours and seasonal employees. This method is not real time, but rather looking back over an established period of time to determine full-time status that will be locked in for another established period of time. To be more specific, this method requires an employer to establish 1, a measurement period, which can be a period of time between 3 to 12 months. Employees' hours are tracked, then averaged at the end of this period to determine if an employee worked an average of 30 or more hours per week. And 2, a stability period, during which an employee is locked in to the status of full-time or not full-time. Essentially, the measurement period is used to determine who the employer must make offers of coverage to for employer shared responsibility purposes. And just going back to that stability period, depending on what period of time an employer uses for the measurement period, the stability period has to be at least as long as the measurement period, or if the employer has chosen a measurement period that is less than 6 months, the minimum amount of a stability period is 6 months. So in addition to these 2 set periods of time, the measurement period and the stability period, an employer can choose to also incorporate an administrative period of up to 3 months in between the measurement period and the stability period, in order to have time to average hours or do the math and make the required offers of coverage prior to the beginning of the stability period. As I said, this administrative period is optional, but most employers do opt to have at least 1 month of an administrative period to coincide with their open enrollment. This episode covered the very basics of the Lookback measurement method. In other episodes, we discuss the method in greater detail and also discuss how new employees are treated when an employer uses the Lookback measurement method. And that is your Comply on the Fly question of the week. Thanks for tuning in.
What's on your mind? If you have a pressing compliance question, send it to askkarenb@m3ins.com. We'll do our best to cover it in an upcoming episode. You can now follow and subscribe to Comply on the Fly on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Make sure to tune in next week and encourage others to join us.